Welcome back to Steele and Vance. Boy, no shortage of topics to cover in the news cycle. And are we ever lucky, Lynda, that we can zoom our viewers straight to the BC legislature to check in with Rob Shaw, the Czech legislative correspondent, on a big bunch of happenings over the last 24 or 36 hours.
Yeah, because Rob, it's been a bit of a shiitake show with the NDP party.
Shiitake show, I like that. I was going to say gong show, but
yeah,
shiitake show, yes. It has been, I mean, if you boil it down to what people care about, essentially we have a new premier. And his name is David Eby, and he's a guy we all thought was going to win. He didn't do as well as we thought he was going to do. He didn't have as good of a campaign. Out-hustled, out-organized by a young climate activist by the name of Anjali Appadurai. He still wins because the party disqualified Appadurai for a bunch of what it said was cheating around memberships and signups. And so he kind of emerges here as the victor, but with a little bit of a whiff of an air of scandal around him. And he will become the NDP leader officially on Friday, and he'll be sworn in as premier a couple of weeks after that-ish. So that's the kind of takeaway. A lot of internal kind of machinations and complexities for what is really a very simple outcome, which is, hey, there's a new premier.
Do you think that's going to hurt the NDP party at all? This idea that, you know, a young woman of color, an environmental activist, was kind of disqualified?
It's a big question, you know. Does it hurt the party that an old white guy in power passed the power to another older white guy? Probably. But it's at least 2 years to the next election, unless Eby calls it. I think people will be more worried about healthcare, hospital wait times, ERs, ambulances, crime, those type of things. If Eby can come out and swing really big on solving those, probably forget about the race that most people didn't pay attention to because it wasn't really a race and there was cheating and a bunch of other stuff in it. So it's up to him whether he seizes this opportunity now as the new premier and moves beyond this kind of tainted race that he was a part of. You know, he's a bright guy. He has the entire caucus and cabinet behind him, and he's supposedly got some ideas. We never even saw his platform, so I honestly couldn't tell you what they are for some of the big files. But he says he has them,
yeah,
and
well, I mean, we heard about
he's going to have to convince voters that they're worth voting for.
Right. Let me ask you this
housing was the one we did see.
Yeah, he had a lot of ideas on that. But two questions quickly before I let you go. When will David Eby be the premier, do you think? And is he going to call a snap election, as some pundits have surmised he might?
Yeah, he'll probably be premier in a couple of weeks, officially. I don't think he's going to call a snap election in the spring, mainly because take a look at the municipal election. Voters were angry, they were grumpy, and they voted out a lot of incumbents, more than 37. No provincial government wants to go face that anger. So I don't think we will see it, but you never know. Politics is weird. Stuff happens. That's why it's so much to cover.
Yeah.
And that's why we're so lucky to have you, Rob Shaw, as our legislative correspondent for Czech. And welcome. This is your premiere appearance on Steele and Vance, but we're going to bring you back here regularly because clearly there's tons to talk about, right? So thanks for doing this.
Here anytime. I don't have any wine or any chips, but I will be here
anytime.
We're
sorry.
We'll send you. I think you're a craft beer guy, if memory serves. I'll send you a little something. Thank you, Rob Shaw.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, this is going to be interesting. I like David Eby. I've had quite a bit of experience with him, as you have.
I'm one of his constituents.
Extremely.
I live in his riding.
Smart.
Yeah.
But wow, you know, what a journey he's been on, from going to working with the head of, you know, Pivot, and working with the, what is the name of the BC Civil Liberties. And then all of a sudden he's kind of trying to go more to the middle, mainstream.
Let's make sure we don't forget the dumpster fire that was ICBC, because he was handed this individual. It has to be noted that he has been handed some unbelievable files.
It's true, big
but
ones.
he also, in my opinion here, clearly sleptwalked through what this leadership race could or should have been. Whether or not you agree with how things played out here, there's more to parse away to actually get into that. But the fact that he wasn't actively signing up members, there's been a lot of that going on here. How a party might be hijacked by a third party is seriously in the lap of those who maybe were a little complacent and thinking, yeah, I'm just going to
Well, he
gonna
had
do this.
almost the full support of caucus.
Oh, for sure.
And so I
And she
think
had
he
very,
thought
very
he
little.
was going to win. And it
Yeah.
reminds me of Adrian Dix when he was running for premier. I think he thought, that he was going to win. He didn't really need to work that hard, didn't need to go negative. Anyway, David Eby is where he wants to be. I think the bottom line is that the NDP looked at her. She's, some might describe her as a fairly strong, maybe even small R radical environmentalist, and thought, we're not going to win with her. We're not going to win a general election with her idea. She's too far to the left, too extreme. And so I think the party said, well, we'll go with what's safe.
When Anjali Appadurai held her press briefing to sort of lay out her platform, it looked nothing like the mandate that the caucus has for the BC NDP.
Right.
It looked very green or independent. And that's not to say, and this isn't a
Not a
political
bad thing.
opinion in terms of what I agree with or disagree with or what I stand for or whatever, but I was listening, I'm going, this does not at all sound like the government that was voted into power with a very strong majority based on what their platform
Right.
is. And I think that needs to bear some weight in the conversation where it's old boys club versus young woman of color. She's smart, she's savvy, she seems fearless. She also has this extra piece of the Dogwood where with the allegations about Dogwood saying that they would pay people
To sign up.
pause their green membership in order to sign up to become a member of the BC NDP party to then change the party in its current form. I
Right.
think that's a big deal.
However, it was a good discussion. We didn't hear a lot from David Eby about what he would do in terms of protecting the environment and sort of pushing some new policies. So it did sort of force them to go, yeah, I think we need to do that. It's an interesting conversation. He's going to be named leader officially tomorrow on
And then
Friday.
maybe becomes premier on the same day that Ken Sim becomes mayor of Vancouver. It could be November 8th or 9th, they say, because legislature is on break then. So we'll
All
see.
right, coming up next on Seal and Vance, the bike lane battle in Stanley Park that never ends.
I'm ready.
Vancouver's new park board says it's going to take those temporary bike lanes out this winter and then restore 2 lanes of traffic. Till it comes up with a new plan. Everybody has an opinion. That's next.
I do. Yes, I do.